Tonight on the Black Channel. It'll seem unbelievable, but you'll see it here. Follow the money, and it'll be easy to figure out who's behind the agenda. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, let me tell you, folks, to the brothers and sisters up there in New York City, I gotta tell y'all, when you all wonder why the rest of the country has such disdain for New York, it's because of things like this. It's because of stuff like this. With everything else going on. And don't get me wrong, New York City, New York, is particularly black folk in New York, have brought us some wonderful things. They brought us some great things. But they also bring a lot of bull jive too. By the way, this just in from New York.
Emergency orders issued by over half of New York counties worried about the migrant situation are now facing two new legal hurdles themselves. One from New York City and one from a federal judge downstate. As Channel 2's Rob Hackford explains tonight, while the complicated issue continues to play out in the courts, county leaders are standing by their decisions.
The city is responding to this statewide emergency.
Tonight, New York City is taking
Okay, you hear her accent?
aim at over 30 counties that have tried to block asylum seekers.
Responding to this statewide emergency.
County leaders are standing by their decisions.
The city is responding to this statewide emergency.
Tonight, New York City is taking aim at over 30 counties that have tried to block asylum seekers in the Big Apple from being transported to their part of the state, 5 of which are in western New York.
These counties have implemented misguided and unlawful executive orders.
The lawsuit accuses the county's, quote, xenophobic orders of violating state and federal law. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell does not see it that way, however, and says his county right now is not equipped, adding that Chautauqua County has been caring for a group of migrants since November.
We've reached out to our boots on the ground who are working with these people, and they said, we cannot take anymore. The concerning part is it's one elected official dictating or telling another elected official what they can and can't do.
New York City's action comes just a day after a federal district court judge suspended the same migrant emergency orders in Rockland and Orange counties. The judge found the orders discriminatory and likely in violation of the Civil Rights Act and the 14th Amendment.
I'm not surprised.
Now did you get that? You got a judge saying that non-citizens, folks who are not citizens, are protected by laws created for the descendants of the slaves, and yet we don't have those protections. You got folks in court and in federal court. I'm talking about we can't get reparations on the docket anywhere. We can't get reparations on the docket in any federal court. And yet these non-citizens who are here illegally, trespassing and illegally entering the nation should not even be here. They're supposed to all be on a plane back to where they came from. And yet these federal courts are saying, wait now, that Civil Rights Act now. Yeah, we think that doesn't. Really? So you've got laws made for us. Constitutional amendments made specifically for us by name, and yet they're saying that everyone else is protected by the Constitution except black folk. You're not protected. We're not protected. So they're telling us the only people who are going to protect you, we're going to make these laws, but they're only going to protect everybody except you, including non-citizens. This is what a race war looks like.
Just a day after a federal district court judge suspended the same migrant emergency orders in Rockland and Orange counties. The judge found the orders discriminatory and likely in violation of the Civil Rights Act and the 14th Amendment.
I'm not surprised about that decision.
Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz has deviated from other counties in not issuing an emergency order. But while he says Erie County is welcoming, New York City has not confirmed any location or date, or even if any migrants will be coming. What Wendell, New York City officials, and Poloncarz agree on, however, is
the federal government needs to come up and step up to the plate to deal with the migrant issue.
The federal government, in other words, the rest of the states, we're not sanctuary states. We don't want illegals around. How the hell is it all of a sudden your desire to have cheap slave labor is suddenly our issue?
They have not.
But we cannot do it without the federal government acting now.
Yeah, you can. Turn the bus, get all them folks on an airplane from LaGuardia and go drop them back off in Venezuela, Argentina, Mexico, San Salvador, El Paso. Well, not El Paso, but you get the idea. It's very easy to do that. But folks, this is why we have been saying we need to know the backgrounds. First of all, OMG, the hairline. First of all, the hairline. I thought that was Roscoe Lee Brown for a minute. They gonna hate me tonight. They are gonna hate me tonight. So, yeah. First, I thought that was Roscoe Lee Brown. I didn't know who it was at first. I thought it was old Roscoe Lee Brown. I took a look at it and I was like, okay, I don't want to be disrespectful, but Roscoe, is that you? All right, some folks not gonna like I said that.
And deal with it, nigga.
All right, let's get that on out the way. But the thing I wanted to point out to you all here is you do understand what happens under these circumstances. So what ends up happening here is they send in these Trojan horses. This is why we've been saying, hey, wait, hold on. Y'all got some real oddball people saying some real oddball stuff. Where you from? Where you from? Are you from the soil? Or are you from somewhere else? Then she gets to talking.
Implemented misguided and unlawful executive orders.
Yeah, she's from the other side. And you're going to let her decide what's in our best interests? You're going to let her decide that? I don't think it can be. I don't think it can be. See, you got to understand, these are the folks here who will sit up here and tell you that they are Afro-Latina, they're Caribbean, they're Haitian. If you want to know why black never comes up, it never comes up because these folks here got an agenda and they're saying, okay, remember this fella here. I mean, he don't care who's getting off the bus.
Location or date, or even if any migrants will be coming.
Remember, we already covered that.
New York City has not confirmed any location.
Yeah, he's like, okay, yeah, he sees himself as one of them. Well, don't worry, I'm one of them. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. So the first thing is, if you all want to know why we started asking questions years ago about where some of these folk came from, where'd you come from? Who your people? Who you speaking for? Now you get it. This is New York City saying that they're going to sue 30 counties. When is the last time that New York City took any sort of action on behalf of the black folk that they have been targeting? How much money does it cost to sue 30 counties? New York City is not putting its legal resources to work for foundationals there, but they're putting their legal resources to work for folk who aren't even supposed to be on the soil to try to force everybody else to help them with their illegal and immoral sanctuary slave city strategy. And then when we say what hasn't happened, they gonna turn around and tell us ain't no money. Now you got y'all were able to yank $300 million a year out of your upper colon to house the illegals with no warning whatsoever. Hey, we need luxury hotel accommodations. I mean, $300 million a year ain't no budget. Chicago, $50 million for illegals who should not even be standing on the soil, and yet with no hesitation. I want you all to understand this. Not a second's hesitation. The new mayor of Chicago found $50 million without a moment's hesitation. In New York City, they found 6 times that amount, $300 million, without a second's hesitation. Didn't have to pass a law, didn't have to pass a rule, didn't have to check a budget, didn't have to do nothing. They just got the $300 million. Boom, there it is. It's ready. It's available. We got it. We got it. And then telling you and me, well, we need to have a study, and then the commission, and then we need to have, a poll over here, and then we need to get together and have a fish fry, and then after that, we can have another poll, another commission. Like, hey, why can't you give us the fast track treatment you gave these other folk? Because it never takes a commission or a committee. It never takes a law. Bam, they get what they need. I'm talking about, it ain't no 3-4 damn years later. It's 3-4 days later, not 3 or 4 years later. Certainly not 3 or 4 decades later. While they're telling us what can't be done. And meanwhile, changeo presto, magic wando, boom, there it is. So that's New York City. We're going to sue to make sure everybody else takes y'all. New York City is not suing other counties for how they treat black folk from New York City. Just point that out to you for a minute. Just thought I'd point that out to you for a minute, because if you got legal resources, we should be seeing that. You see, when you got a place like Barney's, folks, when you got stores in New York City discriminating against black folk, when you have stores and departments in New York City discriminating against black folk, the city attorneys ain't got no time for that. The city attorneys don't see an offense. The city attorneys don't see a problem. See, there shouldn't be a single black person in New York, certainly not foundational, who should have to lift a damn finger. Take a look at this right here. The city's legal resources, boom, hop straight to work. They jump right to action. Shouldn't be a black person in New York got to hire an attorney for a damn thing. That's what I'm telling you. Shouldn't be a single black person in New York should have to lift a finger for an attorney for a damn thing. Black folk getting kicked out of their housing. Black folk getting evicted. That's been going on for decades. Black folk having to sue stores, sue jobs, sue the city. What the hell? Black folks shouldn't have to hire a damn thing. The legal resources are obviously here. You got the resources to sue 30 counties, more than 30 counties. You got the resources to stand up for us without us lifting a finger. Because these folk you doing something for, those are our resources going to them. Those are our resources going to other people to protect folk who ain't put nothing in it and don't even belong here. They shouldn't be getting protection because they shouldn't be here. That's the issue. They're not even supposed to be here. They shouldn't be getting legal assistance because they shouldn't be on the soil. If you all agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me the fire emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button. There's 3,000 people in here listening to me live. If you agree with what I'm saying here tonight, give me the fire emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. Although we might have some hairline haters in here also, so I mean, it could be that kind of situation. But in any case, those are our resources. Those resources were gathered by us, fought for by us, bled for by us. We get together and make all the headway to get the resources, and then when it's time to deliver them and disseminate them, they drop them off to everyone except us. Then you wonder how the hell everybody else keeps getting ahead. Yeah, because our resources keep getting deposited and distributed with everyone else. deliberately. And we come back and say, hey, what them resources you supposed to give us? Oh, we ain't got none. You know, the city budget is tight, man. The city budget tight. Hold a damn minute. You just found a third of $1 billion and didn't need any assistance finding it. Well, you know, it's an emergency. We are an emergency. We are an emergency. Stop letting folks up here and tell you that we are just business as usual. No, we're not. We are an emergency. And if you sit up here and let Fishbowl, Bowling Ball Martin sit up here and tell you we're not, except when he wants to sit up here and scam another partnership off of another advertiser sponsorship off of somebody, then all of a sudden we're a special case. No, he wants to be a special case. We are a special case as a people. We are an emergency as a people. Y'all doing everything except giving our resources where they need to be. Our resources are going everywhere except where they're supposed to be. And now you talking about suing other counties so that you can sit up here and bring in more illegals into other counties. New York City is an abortion incubator. New York City is one of those abortion incubators for black people. New York City is one of those abortion epicenters. New York City has whole parts of budgets, businesses to make sure that if a black baby threatens to be born, first order of business is convince the mammy to abort them. We don't need black babies. Meanwhile, you bringing in busloads of non-black ones. You're bringing in busloads of non-black ones. We see the agenda. We see what you're doing. You're telling black folk, get rid of your kids, and meanwhile, don't worry, we'll replenish the population. We'll take care of that. While telling you, by the way, you don't need any kids. You don't need any kids. That's New York. That's New York City, but what about on the other end of things? Because, you know, a bunch of these illegals are being sent up to New York and California, places like that from Florida. At least that's what you've been hearing on the news, right? That's what you've been hearing on the news. I wonder what's going on down there in Florida, though, as far as, you know, illegals are concerned, because you gotta ask yourself here, where's the draw? What is causing all these folks to come here in the first damn place? And why is it that's not being dealt with? Well, don't worry. The TV stations down there in Florida are upset at kicking out illegals. But then when you listen to them, you find out that there's another side to this. And the other side to this is far more diabolical.
It's 7:30 a.m. in humid North Florida, the beginning of a long day. On a large farm, where hired workers are in the middle of harvesting roughly 2.2 million watermelon, about 32 million pounds worth, over the course of about 6 weeks, with more than 150 people working to harvest the watermelon. I asked farm owner Trevor Bass this question.
How many U.S. citizens pick crops on your farm?
None.
Zero.
Actually, on this day,
I gotta stop here. I gotta stop here because this picture right here, this explains white supremacy. This explains the wealth gap. This explains discrimination. This is institutionalized racism. You want proof of institutionalized racism? Here it is. 2 Anglo-white men who own a bunch of farms, not just 1 or 2, own a bunch of farms, illegals all over the damn place. illegals all over the place. And these white men have been allowed to prosper, is what I'm trying to tell you. Get that through your head. These white men have been allowed to prosper, breaking the law, breaking federal law. Now, when black men just throw a dime bag of weed out there, here, nigga, hold this life sentence. As a matter of fact, we are going to confiscate all of your property, all of your possessions. We are going to seize all asset forfeiture. You forfeit all of your assets. And yet we have all been watching now for decades as white men have gotten wealthy and rich in these places, breaking the law at a scale that Nikki Barnes could only have thought about, and yet nobody's coming to get them to forfeit their assets. Hell, they on the damn evening news. They're on the evening news. And nobody is coming to come seize their assets. Nobody is coming to threaten them with jail time. Nobody is coming to arrest the white men who create the draw that is bringing these people here. Nobody's coming to get them. Black folk, when it's us, all of a sudden they go, you shouldn't have broke the law. But when it's time to come round up the white men, well, you see, it's more complicated than that. Where are the feds? Because when it's black folk, the feds are on your ass. Hell, if you got a record label, the feds are after you if you got a record label. These white men got whole farms out there, raking in the dough year after year. And by the way, remember, white supremacy update. I want you all to update your lexicons tonight. White supremacy is the ability to violate all laws with impunity. White supremacy is the ability to violate all laws with impunity. That the laws, especially the ones about harming black folk, but not just that there are no laws that really apply to you. White supremacy is about committing crimes with impunity. You couldn't have black folk on TV like this bragging that they're breaking the law, and then the system is defending them. The news stations and the media are defending them. If these were some black folk, they'd be doing a whole, Channel 9 would be sitting down there doing an investigation. Channel 9 would be doing an investigation of them. Not sitting here doing it's great. Because, by the way, the reporter gets real damn sympathetic. He gets real sympathetic with them.
About 6 weeks, with more than 150 people working to harvest the watermelon. I asked farm owner Trevor Bass this question.
How many U.S. citizens pick crops on your farm?
None.
Zero.
Actually, on this day, there is one U.S. citizen, me. I requested a chance to work for one day on this farm to learn more about why so many farmers have such a difficult time getting Americans to work on their farms.
Okay, so this watermelon is ripe, it's ready. We turn it over so the yellow part is on top, so then the people who pick it up know it's ready because they see the yellow part on top.
Everyone I'm working with here is from Mexico, all part of the U.S. government's guest worker program known as H-2A. American farmers can hire foreign nationals under the H-2A program as long as they follow strict provisions, which include only hiring them after trying to employ Americans first, which this farm owner did, and got no takers.
The idea is we have...
Okay, he's saying this farm owner did try to and got no takers. Where's your investigation of that, Channel 9? Where's your proof of that? Where's your documentation? Because he didn't say that the farmer the farmer claims that he tried to hire Americans and it didn't happen. He's just saying that, and they're stating it as if it's a fact. The news media, understand, is a propaganda wing of white supremacy. He's stating that like that's a fact. He said that like that's just a fact. They tried to get some Americans and it couldn't happen. Where's the word allegedly? You don't work for that farm, do you? He doesn't work for them, does he? Because how could he sit here and say that as a fact if he doesn't work for them? Isn't he supposed to be sitting there getting them to say that? No, he's saying it for them. He's saying it for them. That's why I wanted to show you all this from the beginning right up here. This picture right here tells you everything. These are 3 white men who have gotten together and compared notes. This white reporter is not going to sit up here and put together a news story that allows you to mass incarcerate white people. Because that's what's supposed to be going on right now. Asset forfeiture, mass incarceration. Their land gets sold back to black folk. Their land is supposed to be seized and sold, given at a steep discount back to black people. And then we'll see if you got to hire all these illegals after that. We'll see if you have to do that, because you see, that's what they do with us. When we get, quote, illegally gotten gains, they seize them and then go give them to some white folk. Hey, why don't we go take these folks' land, take what they got, give it to some black folk, and see if we can make it pop without some illegals. Because you see, isn't that what you're supposed to be doing? That while they're telling you that you're not working hard enough, you're not doing enough, your grandfathers didn't work hard enough. Well, the fact that they got institutional generational wealth and you don't, well, you just didn't work hard enough. Meanwhile, these 2 bastards are straw bossing. They're not out there cutting a damn thing. While they're sitting up here telling you they can't find no Americans to work, I can't find a white man to work here. I can't find a white man wanting to work. I can find one wanting the straw boss. We can find one wanting the straw boss.
0. Actually, on this day, there is one U.S. to see the yellow part on. American farmers can hire foreign nationals under the H-2A program as long as they follow strict provisions, which include only hiring them after trying to employ Americans first, which this farm owner did and got no takers.
The idea is we have this chain here, and we're going to be taking these watermelons, putting them on this bus, and we're going to be doing it for hours straight.
Dustin Blank is a farmer and also represents other farms when selling finished product to stores.
I own 2 farming operations.
And you represent how many farms?
Over 30.
And
So this guy here is telling you he's got 2 operations and he represents over 30 farms. It seems to me like the feds and the state and everybody else need to be coming to confiscate their farms. He's on camera admitting what he's doing. This is how bold they are. So this tells you what is happening behind closed doors. Behind closed doors, all these white men are on the same page. They're on the same page, people. In the state of Florida, one of the richest states in the world, and yet they're on the same page.
how many U.S. citizens do you know of who work on any of those farms?
Short of management, 0.
You heard what he just said? How many U.S. citizens do you work on any of these farms? And his answer was short of management, none. Management, you mean other than the white men? Isn't that what you mean? Other than the white men. Other than the white men. When he says management, who the hell is management? Other than the white men. That's the real answer. That's the real answer. So you understand something. If you all think that we have moved 1 inch or 1 iota from the slave fields and how they see themselves, that their job is to be the overseers, the plantation owners, the bosses. Let's be very, very clear. Take a look at it. Both of them got their shades on. They're probably both driving F-150 King Ranch luxury pickup trucks. Why, they get a thrill out of coming out here and seeing all these people toiling for them. They get a power trip out of it. They get a power trip out of watching all these folks sit up here and work for them. In their minds, they are upholding their white legacy. This is hardcore racist white supremacy. Hardcore. That they are not upholding an industry, they are upholding a social construct. They are upholding a social institution that we're up here and everybody else is down here. To which I ask you all, do you think these guys are afraid of illegals coming in by the thousands? Do you think that these guys are afraid of that? Do you think that they are worried about that? As far as they're concerned, watch the money pile up. As far as they're concerned, just watch the money pile up now. This is what they're looking for. This is what they're looking for. They love it. They don't have no issue with it. So just understand, in the Florida legislature and every other state's legislature, this is what's going on. We've been watching these white men run these farms like this for decades. Decades. Knowing full damn well what they're doing is illegal. You watch the police drive by, the sheriffs drive by, the feds drive by. Everybody's been talking for decades about the discrepancy between how they treat powder cocaine and crack cocaine. Take a look at how you treat white crime and black crime. See, Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor, these are the numbers that don't make it into the FBI crime statistics. White folk today are making billions of dollars through crime. These are two criminals on your screen. And they make billions of dollars through crime. They're making billions of dollars through illegal activity. And nobody is organizing a task force. No one is executing RICO. He said 30 other farmers. I'm like, oh, this sounds like a RICO case. This sounds like a RICO case. And yet, no one is initiating or suggesting a RICO charge. This is criminal. This is criminal. And everybody knows it.
And you represent how many farms?
Over 30.
And how many U.S. citizens do you know of who work on any of those farms?
Short of management, 0.
Under H-2A, guest workers can't get paid less than Americans. Florida's minimum H-2A salary is $14.33 an hour. And at this farm, the Mexicans are permitted to work for as many hours as they want, with extra bonuses for the amount of work done. They can easily make more than $1,000 a week. They are subject to income tax. Edgar Hernandez is a husband and father who sends all his money home to his family. I ask him why he doesn't think there are any Americans harvesting with him.
What in the hell? Why would you ask him that? Why would you ask him that? So you got to understand, you got reporters down there playing these media outlets are playing some deep, deep Nazi Germany big lie games. Why the hell would you ask him that? Would you go down to Mexico and ask some black folk, why is it you don't see any Mexicans at the recording studio? Why the hell would you ask him that? This is insanity. But this is how desperate they are to come up with something to justify this nonsense.
It's heavy, he says. The work is hard. These farm owners don't disagree with that assessment. Americans have other choices and just don't want to do this, they say.
I would say this work on a scale from 1 to 10 would be out of a 9.
Want to do this, they say.
I would say this work on a scale from 1 to 10 would be out of
that assessment. Americans have other choices and just don't want to do this, they say.
I would say this.
Okay, because at first I thought dude's hand there had been, amputated or something. He was doing the stub. You notice this guy right there, he's only using his right hand. He's not using the left. He's using his right hand. He's not using his left.
Scale from.
So I couldn't help but notice that. So I'm like, okay, they got some Leopold action. King Leopold action going on here.
1 to 10 would be out of a 9. I mean, it's about as hard as it gets.
I mean, buck-toothed white men. Buck-toothed white men. But this is Ron DeSantis' Florida.
There are about 18,000 pounds of watermelon on each of these buses. In addition to these being heavy, it's extremely monotonous.
Both these men describe themselves as politically conservative. However, they say this government program is not only a necessity, but should have an application process that is faster and more flexible. Conservative. Both these men describe themselves as politically conservative. Both these men describe themselves as politically conservative. Both these men describe themselves as politically conservative.
Brothers and sisters, for 15 years now, I have been warning you all, stop using labels. A bunch of you came in from AM radio, Fox News. I've warned you now for over a decade and a half, stop using these political labels that you picked up from the dominant society because they don't apply to you. None of these labels apply to you. You know I'm going to go over the list. Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Moderate, Conservative, Liberal. These are simply labels that the dominant society puts on and takes off like a jacket. These labels apply to them. They do not apply to you. You look like a damn fool calling yourself conservative or liberal. These are labels made by the dominant society for the dominant society. And when you use those words, when you use those terms, they do not mean the same thing to you that they mean to them. They do not mean the same thing to you that they mean to them. They mean something different. When these white men say they are conservative, just understand Joe Biden and the rest of them, Arlen Specter, we can go to Michael Bloomberg. These are just what the dominant society knows what they mean when they say conservative, liberal. They mean in my interests. Whatever their interests are at the moment. Whatever it is at that minute, that's what it is. I've told black folks, stop doing this. Now, these are white men on the ground, sitting up here, making the economically deprived conditions you're having to live under, and they're telling you, oh, by the way, we identify as conservative. Well, we're politically conservative, except when it comes to our pockets. Yeah, except when it comes to our pockets, then we are as liberal. Hell, we're communists. We're conservatives and patriots when it serves us, but if it doesn't serve our pockets, damn capitalism, damn Americanism, we're downright communist, socialist, whatever we need to be. Whatever we need to be. So, folks, if you want a clear-cut example, this story right here is a clear-cut example of why black folk got it wrong. Stop using these erroneous, obsolete labels. They weren't made for you. They weren't made by you. They don't apply to you. Leave them alone.
However, they say this government program is not only a necessity, it's extremely monotonous. Both these men describe themselves as politically conservative. However, they say this government program is not only a necessity, but should have an application process that is faster and more flexible.
Yes, we don't need to open the borders and let everyone across, but these guys are coming here for a reason. They're coming here for serious work to try to support their families in Mexico or wherever they've come from. They're not here to play. I mean, it's very obvious. Look behind us.
But that's what everybody said. Did you all hear this? Let me play this garbage one more time. Did you hear him?
Flexible.
Yes, we don't need to open the borders and let everyone across, but these.
Meanwhile, he's saying he doesn't want you to open the borders and let everyone across for everybody else. Just open the borders up and let them across for him. Did you get that? No, we don't need to open the borders for everybody, just for me. You only need to open the borders for me. Yeah, we don't need to open the borders for everybody. Just open the borders for the two of us and our 30 friends. And that's what I want you all to understand is that they're talking about a controlled gate. He likes that program because, technically speaking, these folks are not going to be citizens. Technically speaking, they're not going to be citizens, so you have the ability to remove them when you want to, so they can serve the economy, theoretically, without threatening white supremacy, technically. Here's the problem. A bunch of them come over here, then they sneak off, and then they stay. A bunch of them come over here, they sneak off, they stay. Next thing you know, they've integrated into the population, they've gone on to another state, and they're here for good. These guys know that too. So what they're saying is that if it's in our best interest, we're going to go for that. If it's in our best interest, we're going to go for that. We're going to go for it. So this is another prime example of I'm white and I say so. We don't need to open the borders and let everyone through. Except if it helps me, then, we can go ahead and do that. And this is where we live. This is the conditions we live with everywhere. This is that preferential treatment. This is why we need reparations. Right here. These two guys, Bubba and Boudreaux. These two right here, Bubba and Gump. This right here is the reason why black people must have reparations. This is why. You want a prime example? You want a perfect example of why we have to have it? This is why we need it right here. Right here. Because they have essentially got a not essentially, they have this isn't even essentially, they are being given a preferential treatment package. By the way, y'all see one more thing. You want to talk about your tax dollars at work? Those are school buses behind them. Those are school buses. They've taken the damn school buses, and you see it all over the South. You see it all over the East Coast. They've taken the school buses and turned them into illegal alien buses. Okay, but those school buses were originally purchased with our taxpayer dollars. So they take in black folks' taxpayer dollars, buying school buses, and then at the end of the road, they take them, give them to some white men, so the white men can sit up here and cake it off. While telling you that you have to do things straight. See, if you owned a black farm, they'd have your stuff shut down by now. Well, these folks up here, they're essentially subsidizing it. They're essentially subsidizing them. This is why we need reparations. Cut the check. These guys have a decades-long head start with the state giving them essentially a government program that allows them to ignore the laws while telling you and me we better stick strictly to it. You see, when you go on YouTube, the white folk don't have to obey the rules on YouTube. They can do whatever they want to. When you go on television, the white folk can do whatever they want to. You go into commerce, the white folk can do whatever they want to. This is what you're dealing with. While they're turning around and telling you and me what all the rules are that we got to follow. And everything we got to do. If you want to know why it is that you're seeing the situation that you are, they're getting bold with it now. Stuff that we've been saying now for decades. Now they're coming out, finally creeping their way out and admitting, yeah, y'all were right the whole time. You were right the whole damn time. Yeah, this is what we've been doing the whole time. This is what we've been doing the whole time. Yeah, it's just like you thought it was. Yeah, it was everything you said it was. Yeah, it is. Now what you gonna do? Yeah, we've been running the tables just like this. Now what? Now what? So that's why I'm doing tonight's program. I want you all to see this right here, that we didn't get in this situation by accident, and now they are trying to flood the zone. Hell, they're going the legal route to say, hey, we need to make these laws to make sure we can keep these folk over here while telling you the nonsense about what we ain't doing. That's what they're telling you. J.R. Rosenberg in the chat room, so glad that you volunteered for this. because the telephone lines are now open and you are required to call in. So glad you have such questions to ask. So glad you volunteered for that. By the way, you in all caps and you know that's a violation, but no problem here. So glad you volunteered. You need to get yourself on the phone lines and you can go ahead and ask these questions directly here. Since there's so much you wish to know, so glad you volunteered. The telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code, JR, to the program that defines Black America. So this will be your opportunity to go ahead and do that. And we'll be glad to have you here. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break so that JR and some of the other folks here can go ahead and call in themselves. About damn time when you think about it. Before we do, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo, Mr. Baker, Mr. Jules, Asas, Sanders, Wilburn, and everybody else. Thank you very much for your support. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. Give JR a moment here to get on the phone lines. And then we'll be taking your calls. This is The Black Channel.
Are you ready to take the next step in your career or business? With Higher Life Recruiting and Consulting, you can get the help you need to reach your goals. Our experiences span multiple industries, giving us the ability to source top talent across various fields. We specialize in STEM and high-tech industries, but we are equally adept at recruiting and professional services. Our services include career consulting, resume writing, LinkedIn consulting, interviewing, lead generation, sourcing, and talent mapping. Follow us on Instagram at Get Higher With Us.
A white supremacist assassin seeks revenge. Corrupt FBI agents with evil intentions. Dangerous black collaborators dedicated to treason. Occam Jeffers must defeat them all and somehow survive. One misstep and he's a dead man. Join Occam Jeffers as he looks the devil in his blue eyes and tells him, Black first. A sequel to the underground hit War of the Heart, Spirit of 1811 Publishing presents God Love Us, on sale at Amazon. Pre-order and save today. Visit spirit-of-1811publishing.com and show your love.
Having computer problems? Is your PC or Mac running slow? Need help building a gaming PC? Having problems with your Apple or Android device? Call or text Fix Too Fast. We can fix common and uncommon computer software issues remotely anywhere nationwide from the comfort of your home or business. Are you having hardware issues with your PC or Mac? Ship it to us and we will ship it back fixed. Call 1-877-412-9890 or text 513-440-1646 to speak to a technician. Please visit our website at www.fixtoofast.net.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Natural Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Joe Jackson. I'm a foundational Black American, and I entered the field of IT with the goal of helping the family globally. The industry's been changing, and I've learned a lot. But how did we get here? How do we navigate issues we face in the workplace? How can we get our house in order? Read The Concept and Intricacies of Being Black in IT, now on Amazon, as well as the best-selling Guide to Being Black in IT. Go to beingblackInIT.com.
More Threads. A brand owned by a descendant of Black American freedmen was created to uniquely address Black American history and contributions that have been intentionally hidden and suppressed. Use their apparel and more to learn and share the Black American history of Black inventions, heroes, towns, Black business districts, and more. Sign up and support not only a Black-owned business, but a movement at www.morethread.co.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. As always, you are welcome to join us. And Mr. Richburg and Janice, you both need to be on the line. So mods, they have 2 minutes to be on. Let me know what their area codes are. If they are not, permanent vacation. But they've had so much to ask, so this will be their opportunity to go ahead and ask that. Because they are asking in good faith, right? So certainly, don't be scared. Step right up. Caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's DC Video from Chicago.
Okay, DC Video from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Okay, yeah. Good evening. Thank you for the broadcast and the information. And it's to me, it's kind of personal when I hear stories like this. It's kind of wild that the guy actually said that they're not only not going to do anything about this, they say it's the government program that's subsidizing this type of stuff. And I don't currently live in Chicago right now specifically because the word of the year is reparations. I have to leave the county to go find a job somewhere else because I couldn't find nothing in Chicago. And yet, out of nowhere, we got $50 million under this new mayor. You know, it's wild. It's like a slap in the face.
Do you know how much black businesses could do in Chicago if you gave 50 black businesses $1 million apiece? I've been there.
Yeah, I saw what they did to 63rd Street.
I've been there.
Come on, man.
Do y'all know in Chicago on the south side, on the west side, if you gave, hell, I'm being real stingy at that, to be totally honest. But if you gave 50 black businesses in Chicago $1 million each for development,
it's on and popping.
But they'll sit up here and find $1 million, $50 million for folk who shouldn't even be here. And let's just say you take that year by year. If you take that year by year, every year another 50 black folk year by year. That's 500 folk a decade.
They got us sitting in line telling us, well, you got 90 days. They got stuff that's supposed to be lined up for us. And everyone always says, oh, well, it's a 90-day waiting period and it's not guaranteed. And yet y'all put all this money together out of nowhere for these immigrants. Why they not waiting 90 days?
Oh, no, they didn't have to wait 90 minutes. But what that tells you is that's all part of the plan. They've been waiting on them. As soon as they show up, all them resources they told you they don't have and can't do anything, all of a sudden there they are. Black folk have to be a lot more stringent and have to be a whole lot more strict about this. We cannot take any more fast jive talk, and we can't take any more deflections. If they're not doing our bidding, they got to go, and we have to call this out publicly. All this black solidarity with black politicians who are literally sitting up here collaborating against you openly, that mess got to go. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. You can't have black solidarity with black politicians who are obviously aligned against you. And that's the other point right here. In New York City, see, they sending black folk out to do it. They sending Eric Adams and his so-called black administration. They're sending him to go do their dirty work. They're not sending white folk out to do the dirty work. They sending black folk out to do it. They're sending black folk out there to say, okay, you get out there and be the face of it. And when folks get upset, they're all going to be looking at you. Meanwhile, you know that he's just a puppet. Call him area code 202. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 202 is loading up his crack pipe. Caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Onan from Queens.
All right, Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so it's crazy, the situation in New York City. If you look at a lot of the Hispanic communities, like you go to 103rd and Corona Plaza in Queens, or you go out to Jackson Heights, you'll see nothing but migrants. You know, everybody's out there either selling churros or flowers, or they're selling fruit slices, or doing whatever they got to do in order to earn a dollar. You know, and these people are just able to operate however they want without the government stepping in, you know, taking away their products. Or if they do, you know, just right back, they'll be back on the streets in a couple of hours. You know what I mean? And I think this situation is ridiculous right now. And what's even crazier is that you have basically almost all black people in the administration in New York City. You got Eric Adams, you got Vanessa Gibson, you got Donovan Richards, you got Antonio Reynoso. I know he's Hispanic, but it's a bunch of black and brown people who are supposed to be looking out for the interests of black and brown New Yorkers. And here we are as foundational black Americans just getting screwed over. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, you had a bunch of folk up there chasing interracial sexual access, sitting up here bragging about, I got a Dominican girlfriend or this, that, and the other. And this is the price that comes up behind that. A whole bunch of folks been sitting up there bull jiving, focusing on the wrong damn things. And this is what occurs. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 313. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from area code 313. You're on live. Put the crack pipe down. What is your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 313 is probably switching out their crack for heroin. Caller from area code 412, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, my name is Renee. How are you?
Okay, your name is what again?
Renee.
Hello,
How
Renee.
Are you?
And where are you calling from,
Pittsburgh.
Renee?
Can you hear me?
All right, Renee from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What's on your mind?
You know what, Jason? Every day, I'm getting more and more pissed off. And I don't understand, why are these black politicians caping so hard for immigrants who don't like us? These illegals come over here. They don't follow the law. They get them a pass. You know those are criminal in the mix of those illegals coming over the border. They're going to act like they're innocent, downtrodden, and poor. At this time right now, I just don't understand what can we do other than not vote. Because I'm not voting. And it's definitely I'm not voting. We got here Summer Walker here in Pittsburgh talking about, oh, well, we got to help the immigrant. I'm not helping none of them. I don't care. Eric Adams is wrong. You're going to tell them to let immigrants live with you, and they're going to give you stipends. Black people do not open your door, because if you do, they're going to try to take your home and say that you abused them. Don't open your door. Don't rent them shit. Don't rent them nothing.
Understand something. Don't if there's a bunch of black folk out there who might be dumb enough to listen to Eric Adams, you cannot do that. The moment that you let them into your homes, they will become resident. Well, no, it's not about not leaving. they will become residents. They will become tenants at your home. And
Right.
New York City is notorious. It is the worst in the nation for being able to evict people. If you let these folks into your home, they are going to now legally be residents. And you will never be able to remove them, or it's going to be a whole bunch of problems to be able to do so. Eric Adams knows what he's doing, by the way. He knows what he's doing.
Know.
He's telling you, okay, slow down.
We don't do it.
Okay, slow down. The thing that we need to understand is that these folks are doing that deliberately because the white folk, like up there in Martha's Vineyard, they said we're welcoming the illegals and then turned right around and threw them all on planes to fly them out. So the white folk telling you, oh yeah, open up your home, they're not going to open up a damn thing to you. They're not going to open up anything to you. They're not going to open up nothing. They're going to let you open up yours, and then you'll be sitting there complaining. So we're not here to be a damn Airbnb for illegals. If those folk want to do something, if they got a hard work ethic, they need to get back down to Mexico and San Salvador and El Salvador and let us see that work ethic in action. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. You really want to convince us of something? Get down there and go show us that work ethic in action. Show us that work ethic at work. Because so far, I'm not seeing it. Caller America code 202, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Lolita from D.C.
All right, Lolita from D.C., what's on your mind?
I wanted to agree with you and thank you for stating that again so our people can hear that you don't have any party affiliates, like no Democrats or no Republicans. No party is for us. And what they fail to see is that I remember you doing a show before where they had migrated the people to Texas at one time. They went to Texas. They went back to New York in Martha's Vineyard, and now they're in Chicago. And they're doing the same thing repetitively. But what we don't see as a people is that we're thinking that that we have friends in any political party, and we don't. All nations have conspired against us. We have no friends.
And we don't even have political representation because what black folk in America have done is outsource their political representation. We wait until some white folk bring us a politician. We wait until some white folk in the party get together and then they say, okay, this is going to be your representative. We wait until the TV stations tell us, hey, you know, this guy right here, he's a up-and-coming star in the Democrat Party. That's how you end up with Andrew Gillum and Eric Adams. That's how you end up with Stacey Abrams and their ilk. Do you notice that every time you see that happen, you notice when they're prepping us and grooming us, you see the media get rising star. This Blackbird, they're a rising star in the Democrat Party. Barack Obama is a rising star in the Democrat Party. And then next thing you know, here comes the trick bag. So what we have to do is start being very, very open and very, very vocal. James Clyburn is heading for the damn hills because we got vocal. Folks got disruptive, saying it in public. We ain't hiding on the internet. Folks are saying it in public, not letting folks sit up here. Well, you know, they black politicians. We got to support them. No, we don't. We don't have to support any black politician who has an anti-black agenda. Are you brain damaged? You don't support politicians who have an anti-black agenda. It doesn't matter who they are. So this is something that is new. It's only been in the last decade. Remember, we got a century before that. It's only been in the last 9 years that they have actually heard us openly in public speaking against them. Not being afraid to rock the boat, buying billboards, not because you're black conservatives or Republicans, but because you're black people working in black people's interests.
You purchased
this
a
is
billboard,
new.
and I remember you showed a thing where you purchased a billboard.
Well, I purchased a bunch of them, but
purchased several billboards. You're very vocal. You're very vocal about your stance on the people.
Calm down. And thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do what I can, but let me make my point here. My point is that we have not had politicians that we've chosen from the soil. So what you end up with are vetted puppets. Simone Sanders doesn't have her job with Bernie Sanders and then MSNBC by accident. When you see her as a teenager getting patted on the back by Bill Clinton, that tells you they've been watching her since she was in high school, before she was in high school. So it's taken decades for her to get where she is. So they've been watching her like a hawk the whole time. She ain't gonna get off code. They've been watching her for decades. They just introduced her to you on TV 2 decades later. They're like, oh, we've been watching the whole time. Jonathan Capehart, another one. We've been watching him for decades. Don Lemon, another one. We've been watching him for decades. Barack Obama, oh, we've been watching him since kindergarten. So by the time they show up in front of you, they're new to you. But then you don't ask yourself, by the way, who knows him? Who among my people knows him? Who on the street knows him? And then you realize nobody on the street, nobody on the soil knows this person. They were brought to you by the political machine. So what we have to do now is, number one, the most dangerous thing you can do. The most dangerous thing you can do is be courageous enough to speak up against the machine and not let somebody tell you, well, they black like us. No, we don't let traitors get the black label. That's the first most dangerous thing you can do, is to not be afraid to speak up against them openly. The next step after that is to take the next action, which is to represent your interests. You represent it with your dollars, you represent it with your vote, you represent it in the media, you represent it on social media, you represent it on the internet. You start making it clear. And this is why we got what we got right now. Reparations was something folks was giggling about 5 years ago. There's nobody laughing today. Everyone's taking it dead ass serious. So this is the way the media works. The media is, well, reparations, nobody will do that. Ha 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 ha. No one will go for that. And now today it's like, yeah, that reparations thing, that's really crazy. Y'all are doing that, man. That's really crazy. I mean, you're really going to do this? That's crazy. What happened to the damn laughing? So if you want to know what progress looks like, this is what it looks like. I'll let you have the last word.
Like I said, I called you to tell you thank you for stating the obvious, that we have no political party, no Democrat and or Republican party, and you spill a lot of truth.
Thank you very much for giving this call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 212. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is June calling from Washington Heights in New York City.
All right, June from Washington Heights up there in northern Manhattan. And what's on your mind?
I am calling to recall the struggle to get construction jobs for black men during the, I would say, 70s, 80s. It was a fierce struggle, but there were, jobs that came out of it. There recently was completed one of the largest real estate towers in this neighborhood. It's a 28-story luxury building. I watched it go up the whole 2 years. Not one black face.
In
all
Washington,
Hispanic.
in Washington Heights.
And
you're saying there's a 28-story. Slow down. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Everybody else here is not from New York, so listen carefully, because I'm familiar with it. You're telling me that there's a 28-story structure in Washington Heights.
That's right.
Okay.
Biggest one in the neighborhood.
Okay, because for you living
Sunrose
there,
Tower.
For you living there, this kind of whizzes by you like a spitball over a classroom of kindergartners. But for people who are not from New York and don't understand the dynamics of Harlem, Washington Heights, Inwood, that you got to understand, that's actually rather novel, because all of those kind of structures were all built, Lower East Side in the financial district. So I'm in New York City, they got air rights, and you got to jump through a bunch of damn hurdles to build a 20-story, 25-story structure. In New York City, you got to jump through a bunch of hurdles. And up until this point, as you know, I did my film Gentrify. We talked to Catherine Willie Suggs, and, she's the realtor for that area. And she was talking about developers were always hitting her up trying to do something like that. And it's been very, very difficult to get together enough land, to get the permits, to get the approval. And you're telling me that I haven't been to Washington Heights nearly soon enough lately, if they've been able to prop up a whole 28-story structure there. So that would be news, because generally speaking, something that large in New York, Harlem, Washington Heights, Inwood, is pretty much been like, everybody's like, no, you couldn't do that here because you can't get enough land, because the building needs to be big enough It has to have enough concrete and has to have the structure at the bottom to be able to sustain it. So you're going to need to have, you're going to have a big enough plot of land to get this thing up with. And then with the neighborhood and everything else, it would interfere with the aesthetics and stuff like that. So I would be interested. What street is that on?
It's on 153rd Street, 620 West 153rd Street, Sunrose Tower. And at the end, they even had Hispanic women doing the flag waving.
Whoa.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, and I think this is the first one. They've broken ground, but yeah, in terms of the height, like you're speaking about, this is the first of more to come. And one thing, a few days ago, I noticed apparently the proprietors of this structure, some ultra-religious people, you could tell by their dress. This is an inside job, this real estate industry in New York. So, that's how they got the connections. That's how they could gather together all they needed to get the job done. And it was done. And I'll land my plane there, Jason.
Thank you. That's very, very interesting there. For that to be there, that's not even the northern side of it. For those of you who are not familiar with New York City, I mean, that's what you got me here for. But yeah, that's not even the northern side of it. So that's actually, if that's on 158th Street, New York has those streets going up there in numbers. I mean, you ain't said nothing. Because the number streets in New York, I think in Manhattan, it goes up into the 180s, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, the number streets in Manhattan go all the way up into the 180s. So for that, if that's really all the way down there in the 150s, if that's all the way down in the 150s, they didn't even put it up in the nosebleed area. So if you all remember, I would have to check this out. I'd like to confirm it and check it out. I'd like to confirm it and check it out. You all say it goes up to the 200s. That's great. Wonderful. I'd like to go check it out, though. I'd like to go check it out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For Harlem, it's the 180s. I don't really fool around a whole lot further north of that, but usually I don't go much further than the 180s. I really don't. But, yeah. Economic bomb. Economic bomb. If you watch my documentary, 7 a.m., I told you about an economic bomb. What do you think you're going to see? You drop some 28-story luxury structure there. What's that going to do to this? And you put it way up in there, too. You didn't put it at the edge of the things. It's not in central Harlem. It's not West Harlem. You threw it way up in there. That's it. They're plotting out for what's going to happen for the next 20 years. That's an economic bomb that's about to toss all of the property values into surrounding it into the stratosphere. And by the way, if this structure is up there, and I'm just going to take her word for it for now, that if it's up there, you do understand this is just the first of many, right? This is just the first of many. This will just be the first of many. I've been warning folks for decades. This is just the first one. Caller from area code 843. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, these H-2A visas put.
Okay, what is your name?
Oh, my bad. I'm Phil.
Phil, and where are you calling from, Phil?
Beaufort, South Carolina.
Phil from Beaufort, South Carolina. Phil from Beaufort, South Carolina. Phil?
These H.
Are you sure, Phil?
Look, I'm agreeing with you, and this is these H-2A visas put black people at a disadvantage because you saw those people on that bus. Those farmers are paying for their housing too, and not only do they get the same wage that Americans would get, they are paying for their housing too, and they get to get transportation from wherever they live to town every week, it's a bonanza. And the problem with like young black boys doing work like that is they can't bring in income because, if they're living with somebody who's getting government aid, that's going to count against the household income.
Well, no.
And then they got to quit the job.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm so glad to see that Phil has gotten a tire iron to pry off them coon boots. Although that is still ignoring my orders. But second of all, the reason why you do not want black children doing that kind of thing is because a black kid making $15, $16, $18, $20 an hour, they got the ability to sustain themselves. And they would be given that early. And if you're going to do,
but where they going to live and how they going to get back and forth? They don't have the transportation.
You are ahead of yourself, for real. The point is,
no, I've studied this for years.
The point is they'll be able to get started. That's the real point. They will be able to get started. You cannot economically.
I agree.
Okay, Phil, don't call back. The reason why is because you cannot economically strangle people if you give them back doors and avenues to be able to come up. Where black folk are concerned, you got to cut all the strings, cut all the ties, and snip all the cords. You can't allow anything. You can't allow anything. So you can't have black teenagers out here making $15, $20 an hour just on manual labor alone. You can't have that. So you got to make sure that just doesn't happen. They can't have that, period. It's not about anybody living in Section 8 housing. You cannot do that. You cannot leave back doors open. You got to make sure that every door is closed, that there's only one door open, and it requires this illegal alien visa. That's the reason for it. Don't be deceived, everyone. That's the reason for it. I did tonight's program because I wanted you all to see exactly who's responsible for this and who is at work. I wanted you to see exactly who's profiting from it. That everything we told you before, this is not hyperbole and this is not fiction. This is fact. This is not hyperbole nor fiction. This is fact. Everything we've said has been proven true. And this just gives us one more reason right here not to vote for Biden, because he's supposed to be down there in Florida rounding all these people up. And he's not doing it. He's supposed to be down there in Florida rounding up all the white men profiting from this, and he's not doing it. That's the issue. Caller from Code 954, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
South Florida, Willie Pugh.
Okay, what is your name? Where are you calling from?
Willie from South Florida.
Okay, Willie from where?
Willie from South Florida.
Okay, let's try this one last time. Where are you calling from, sir?
From South Florida.
Okay. Some of y'all was smoking crack back in the day. The lead pipes, you didn't get those cleared out. Some of your mamas were holding the kids while she was sitting up here trying to make cake batter. And sometimes you dropped them, and it's just, they're just kind of, yeah. Some of them ain't understanding very well. So comprehension, conversation rule the nation. Comprehension stops dissension. So that's basically where that goes. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. Folks, I did tonight's program because I wanted you to see who's profiting from it. I wanted you to see that everything that we told you has been accurate. Tonight has been a reality check. Accuracy confirmed. Accuracy confirmed. Down the line. Now that you got more proof of it going forward, put this in your arsenal. Now that you got more proof, put it in your arsenal. As time goes on, they're doing everything they can to displace us. That is the agenda. And if they want to displace us, it's because we're making too much progress. That means that we are doing the right thing. Stay the course. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat, Venmo. B1 Media is a lifesaver. Thank you very much for your support, Mr. Rich Berg. As always, thank you very much for you holding it down. And if you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for joining us here on tonight's program. Thank you for tuning in live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, The Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.